In this lesson, we're going to discuss supply chain attacks. As our globalized and digitized world brings about more interconnectivity, our supply chains grow even more dense and intertwined, which can expand the attack surface of our network that malicious actors are trying to exploit. So let's take a look at what a supply chain attack actually is, some real-world examples of supply chain attacks, and how these attacks could have been mitigated. Now, to begin, let's talk about a supply chain attack and what it actually is. Simply put, a supply chain attack is an attack that involves targeting a weaker link in the supply chain to gain access to a primary target. So instead of attacking a well-fortified entity directly, your adversaries may attempt to exploit vulnerabilities inside of their suppliers and service providers to pave their way into the organization's larger and otherwise more secure systems. Now, supply chain attacks have been happening for many years. Throughout the 2000s and 2010s, Cisco routers and switches were often the source of supply chain attacks that focused on selling counterfeit devices out on the secondary market. Basically, a counterfeiter would take an old Cisco chip and then conduct something known as chip washing. Now, chip washing involves repackaging the contents of a microchip with a less expensive one or one that contains embedded malware. In the best case, your organization just bought a router or switch that isn't going to work right, and it's going to lead to some network failures or crashes. At worst, you just installed a router or switch that you thought you could trust, but it actually has a counterfeit chip inside of it that contains malicious functionalities that turns your own network hardware against you and provides an always-on backdoor into your network for a given threat actor. Now, another worrying trend is the deliberate embedding of rootkits within devices by your overseas suppliers. These pre-installed malware tools can provide backdoor access to networks once the devices are active. Given that a significant portion of our tech manufacturing happens overseas and outside of the United States, this poses an enormous risk for our US-based companies and governments alike. This is another reason why conducting a good vendor assessment is important when you're determining which types of hardware, software, and service providers you're going to use inside of your organization. Now, in addition to these hardware-based attacks, we also have software-based supply chain attacks that we need to think about. Back in 2021, one of the largest software-based supply chain attacks that we've observed was seen, and this involved the network monitoring and management software known as SolarWinds. During the attack, cybercriminals infiltrated the SolarWinds Orion software update system and used it to distribute their own malware to all of the company's wide range of clients, including city, state, and national governments across the world. The attackers' goal here wasn't to infiltrate a single target, but instead, they wanted to compromise the networks of thousands of organizations, including various US government agencies. This incident was a really big wake-up call for many organizations, and it illustrates the indirect avenues that attackers could employ to bypass even the most robust security defenses, like those that are used by the Department of Defense. Now, recognizing that supply chain risk can quickly turn into a supply chain attack, the US government passed a new piece of legislation back in 2022 called the CHIPS Act. Now, the CHIPS Act, also known as the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022, is a US federal statute that provides roughly $280 billion in new funding in order to boost research and manufacturing of semiconductors within the borders of the United States. This act includes $39 billion in subsidies for chip manufacturing on US soil, along with a 25% investment tax credit for costs associated with manufacturing equipment, and another $13 billion for semiconductor research and workforce training. The CHIPS Act was designed to minimize supply chain risk by reducing the United States' reliance on foreign-made semiconductors. Semiconductors are essential components in a wide range of products, from smartphones and cars to medical devices and defense systems like missile systems and airplanes. The global semiconductor supply chain is really complex and interconnected, and disruptions to the supply chain can have significant economic and security implications. This is one of the reasons the CHIPS Act was designed. It was there to help strengthen the domestic semiconductor supply chain and make it more resilient to disruptions. By investing in our domestic manufacturing and research capabilities, the CHIPS Act is going to help ensure the United States has a reliable supply of semiconductors to meet its needs and will help to minimize supply chain risks, create jobs, and boost the US economy overall. So, I told you about the problems with the supply chain and some of the things that the government is doing to step in and help. But what can you and your organization do to safeguard yourself against supply chain attacks? Well, it really comes down to 4 things: vendor due diligence, regular monitoring and audits, education and collaboration, and incorporating contractual safeguards. First, we have vendor due diligence. Organizations must practice rigorous due diligence when onboarding their vendors, especially those with access to critical systems or data. This involves not only understanding the vendor's cybersecurity posture, but also their own supply chain management and security practices. Second, we have regular monitoring and audits. Continuous monitoring and periodic audits of your supply chain are considered to be essential. This will help you have an early detection mechanism for any suspicious activities or vulnerabilities that may be exploited by an attacker. Third, we have education and collaboration. By keeping the broader ecosystem informed about the latest security threats, vulnerabilities, and best practices, we can ensure that our industry as a whole remains better protected. Collaborating with other organizations and industry groups can really provide you with a more holistic view and a joint defense strategy against these kinds of supply chain attacks and threats. Fourth and finally, we have incorporating contractual safeguards. Now, when engaging with suppliers or service providers, you're going to use a contract, and that contract should embed clauses related to cybersecurity within them. This type of contract language can help to ensure that vendors adhere to stipulated security standards and that there are legal repercussions if they don't meet your standards or requirements as outlined inside of that contract. So remember, in the expanding web of global supply chains, we are exposing our organizations to a host of new challenges every single day. In today's world, a single vulnerability in a seemingly insignificant component could have massive ripple effects, causing worldwide disruptions on a massive scale. Therefore, securing our supply chains isn't just about the information technology or cybersecurity department anymore. It really is everyone's business inside of our organization because it is at the heart of our very survival and integrity of our organizations and our nations.